Hey, yo, what up, though? It's the boy Bow Weezy, man. Check it out. You need the 411, you need that knowledge? You know where you're going to get it at right here, man. SoundAdvice.
Well, awesome. Well, appreciate you taking time, sitting down
pleasure.
with us today. The first things first, I want to touch on the new record, Use Me with Chris Brown, just dropped, hit #1 on most sides of urban radio.
Yeah.
Can you just talk to us a little bit about the story behind the song, the collab? I mean, of long-term collaborators going back, but yeah, just how this particular record came about.
The record came about, Hitmaker had been reaching out to me for some time. And he was like, yo, I got these records. And, you know, just take the time to just rock with me and just trust me and just trust my vision. I think we could possibly, we'll have something. And he ended up sending me the record. So as I heard it, I was like, oh yeah, this right up my alley. This is that, you know, Ashanti, Jive, Down For You, Down Ass Chick record. And I knew how dope, how fly, how good the record made me feel and made people feel when you heard it. It's just, it's undeniable. And once I heard the first cut, like the first draft of it without me being on it, I was like, there's only one person I know that could sing this hook and that could deliver it the way it needed to be delivered, and that was Brown. And I knew what I was gonna do. I cut my vocals first. I did the first the two verses. Went out to LA for like a week. That's how long it takes if you're recording a record with Brown, unless you catch him right there at the moment. But I know my brother, so had to go out there and spend some time. We had to kick it at the club, at the party. We had to do all that just to get in studio mode, and he delivered, you know what I mean? And that's pretty much how the whole thing came about.
Dope. Yeah, you gotta get in that vibe first. You know,
Absolutely.
Get some inspiration
Yeah,
outside and bring it back in.
Gotta do that.
That's dope. And with your music currently, something you said in your Art of Dialogue interview really stuck out to me. You said that, you know, your music and your writing is evolving as your life experience evolves. So what's inspiring your writing currently and upcoming projects?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. My life, the things that I live, my truth. And it really all depends on how I'm feeling, you know, in the studio that day, or, you know, whatever the beat is telling me to do. I really kind of let the beat guide me. And then from there, I start feeling it out. But for me, it's going to always be, you know, things that are authentic, things that are true to me. You know, my lifestyle, the things that I've lived, even with a record like Use Me. There has been times where I've lived a double life, and, you know, that's a true song. Like there's no cap in that record at all. And that record is really, you know, about a guy being comfortable, being the side dude, but, you know what I mean, got his heart caught into something and he really should have just kept it player, you know what I mean? So things like that, all those things are drawn from my life, from different, I guess, at different stages of my life. So I can always just draw back to those, as well as I'm creating new memories as I continue to live and evolve.
And when it comes to those stages, I want to touch a little bit on the early stages. How did your early start in music, starting at a young age, how did that shape, one, your career, but also your approach to music? It's a very unique experience to have, you know, that longevity and start early. How did that shape your experience as an artist?
Yeah, I mean, starting off young shaped my experience as an artist, just because it's a big advantage you get by starting off young. You know, you get a chance to not only get the head start, but also bump your head first. And you have so much time to correct it. Either you're going to correct it or you're going to just fall to the wayside. So I know for me, that was like one of my biggest advantages, and also just understanding the goal at hand. And, you know, and I think anytime you love something, you're not going to do anything to jeopardize that. And also, you're a sponge. You know, when you're younger, you're learning. You're in the learning stage. You have to be taught, and to be taught by greats. You know, for me, fortunate enough, I had Snoop, I had a Jermaine Dupri to kind of watch and emulate and see how they did things and how they approached recording the studio and just picking up on different things like that. And I kind of use that as my guideline, and I think that's why I'm able to still be here today. And I think not only just me, but other artists who might have a similar background or a similar story as mine. If you came up under a Dr. Dre or a Timbaland or a Pharrell, there's a reason why those artists are still booked to this day. There's a reason why they're still selling tickets and people want to see them, you know? So that stuff stuff like that is very important.
Yeah, that's an angle I haven't really thought about in terms of being like a sponge and soaking up that learning, because that's your prime learning era,
Yeah,
right? When you're younger, you're
man, that
soaking
brain's
it all
so young,
in.
man. That's when you start getting older. You try to talk to the artists, they be on drugs and all this type of shit. Then you know what I mean, and it's hard to get through them at that point. They got their ego set, and so yeah, that's the advantage you get is when you're young. A person is still a sponge, so everything you throwing at them, they just digesting all the information.
Yep. And speaking of that, we want to take a little trip down memory lane. We brought a little throwback pick for you here.
Yeah.
Young man right there, about to drop Beware Dogg 2000.
Terrible outfit.
Hey, that's the 2000 fit though.
Great
the
jersey,
big jersey, the big jeans shorts.
Terrible outfit, but great jersey. Great jersey.
If you had the chance to go back in time and talk to this version of yourself, and give him some advice, what are some of the things that you would say to him?
Have patience. You know what I mean? Have patience. Beware of these girls. Because they out there. I don't think, I didn't have kids then, so I was a kid myself. Now I got two, so I would definitely tell them, got to make sure that you protect the brand, if you know what I mean. Like, protect the brand and listen and stay focused and just know that it's going to get a little tricky, in the next couple of years. As you go into adulthood and the music changes, your voice changes, and your fans grow up. You know what I mean, as well. Can you sustain keeping them in tune to what it is that you got going on? And that's what I would tell them. And that you're gonna be big. You're gonna be big, and you're still gonna be touring and still selling out arenas 30 years from now.
I think you mentioned, you're a father now, and your daughter is pursuing her own creative ventures. I saw she was in a screenshot to Santa. Is that advice that you would give maybe this version of yourself different from how you're helping your daughter navigate the industry? Obviously, it's a very different industry. But what does that look like for you?
It's definitely a different industry now than what it was when I was her age, starting out. And for me, as long as she's dedicated, I mean, I don't really play about this. So it's like, if you want to do it, then let's do it. I want you to take it serious. I don't want you to half step. I really want you to go through the motions and really understand that, that there's thousands of other little girls out here that want that same opportunity. So you got to always keep that in the back of your head, in the back of your mind. And if she ready to roll, then we can roll with it. I'm going to always support my kids on whatever they want to do. I think my son, he's just now getting intrigued with this whole rap thing. He came to the Millennium Tour the other day, and he was just blown away just by everything, like the lasers, the fire, and he was just lost. But it was so cool, and he went back trying to rap when he went back with his grandmother. So, yeah, man, I'm all for it. Like, been through it. I started out young, and I consider myself one of them ones. If you talk about starting off young and still being here and relevant in the game. So I'm all for it. If they with it, I'm with it. But they got to be committed, though.
Yeah, I think that's so important, and that actually segues perfectly into what I wanted to touch on next, which is just longevity. I mean, like I said, you are one of them ones that's stuck around. Like I said, you had, the chance to start earlier, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to stick around. And you have. I mean, you've been a staple in the industry since, the big Iverson jersey. Yeah. And with hip-hop evolving several times since then, there's been a lot of different kind of pockets that it's gone through. Can you just share some of your thoughts on the evolution of the genre, where we're at now, kind of what you're seeing hip-hop in 2025 looking like?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I think, the beautiful thing about hip-hop is it's an art form. So, you got, different things for different people, and every aspect of hip-hop fits somewhere. If you're in a nightclub, you want to hear the turned up, influencing music, you know what I'm saying? And whether if that's the heavy street records, the trap records, the hustle records, the strip club, you know what I mean? You really ain't gonna hear a lot of lyricism in a nightclub, but if you're on a road trip and you about to take that 8-hour drive somewhere, you want to listen to a good, solid album from 1 to 12 or 1 to 13 where you ain't gotta have no skips to it. So I love where we at. I feel like there's something for everybody. Also, that nostalgic vibe, I feel like it's coming back. I feel like bars is coming back. I feel like real rap is coming back again. It's been missing. There's been a hole in the game, and it's really all about everybody just forming Avengers and getting back to it. That's why I love every time, like, Fat Joe always drops that one summer banger once a year. Like, I love seeing cats from the late 90s still getting it going and still doing concerts and on festivals and things like that. So And the pool of hip hop is so big, and that's why everybody's just eating. And I love to see it. Even with the '80s rappers, it's like, you got all these festivals, Rock the Bell festivals, and you see all these guys having their own thing too within the millennial stages and with Gen Z. So there's something for everybody. And I think that's why we see so many festivals today. You know what I mean? Because there's so much room for all of us. And I love where hip hop is at now. I think it's back to the fun stage.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I definitely have seen that, like I said, that hunger for the roots of hip hop. And when you look back at your career in music, do you have the numbers to back, like number one, youngest number one, you have all these numbers. Do you look back and say, there was a moment that you're like, this is my proudest contribution to the industry? If you had to pick one.
If I had to pick one contribution, you know what? I think I would speak on, I probably would speak on something that's current. And that'd be, which I kind of touched on too, is having that number one most added record probably at radio right now. Like, that means a lot to me because that was something that I wanted. Like, that's just the startup. Like, off the top, I'm like, yo, I need that. And everybody was just like, well, it's a possibility, but it's also a possibility to come in too, which is still great. But I'm like, nah, to take like 12 years off from putting out new music, and for me to drop and get that, it just solidifies like, okay, I'm back home. I'm back where I'm supposed to be at, on the radio with a hit. Yeah, this is how I'm supposed to be 12 years later, like going through everybody counting you out, going through the doubters and naysayers, and to make it up and to come through and come out the swamp and be clean and get right back to where you comfortable at. That mean everything to me. I'm all about the current success when it comes to the music now, because everything is already in the books already. I mean, we can always flip back, go back, look at the archives, but I want to add more pages. So that's all I want to celebrate now. So I would say right now, my career, that number one most added is for sure at the top.
That's dope, and that, I can't even call it a comeback because I don't think you ever left, man. But
it's weird when people say that, like, welcome back. It's like, all right, yeah, welcome back to like the art form of competing or like being back on the charts, yeah. But it's like I never left y'all though. It's like I did do TV for 4 or 5 years, so I always made sure I stayed in front of the people. That was important to me. If I'm not about to put out nothing, I'm a hustler. So it's like I got acting. I can host. I can do so many things, you know what I mean? And I'm just like a quadruple threat.
And with being, a multi-talented creative, like I know part of me growing up, I'm seeing you on TVs like Mike. Recently, I'm late to the party, but I finally watched Entourage. Sure enough, he pops up. I'm like, hey.
I did a couple episodes of Entourage. That was hard. That was dope.
But with having your hand in so many different creative ventures, how do like either themes or lessons or skills from one translate to the other? Is there something from acting that helps translate to music, from music that helps translate to acting?
The muscle memory. I think that helps a lot. I had Patricia Arquette, who was my castmate on CSI Cyber. She would always tell me, you can remember those lines so fast because you're a rapper. And you have to remember, and to actors, they're like, how can you remember all of your words? It's like, it's so easy. Acting is way harder, but it's still the same muscle memory. You got to know how to memorize things. You got to listen. You got to wait for your turn to talk, not overlap. There's definitely some similarities that you can take into it. You got to study. You got to be dedicated. All that comes with both. But the main thing is that memory. You got to have that memory. You got to have that brain. You might have a long monologue, and man, you don't understand. It's difficult. So.
And when it comes to just different ventures, kind of want to do a call back to earlier talking about mentorship and Snoop, someone who's also has his hand in a bunch of different creative ventures. What was like his guidance like early on for you, and can you think of like a best piece of advice that Snoop gave you that you feel like helped you navigate the industry?
I'll share two with you. One was just with the Millennium Tour. I called him and I was just like, Unc, I don't really got no ego like that. I'm trying to get this arena tour done. I'm trying to get everybody's deals done, and I just want to do it in the fastest way possible, to the point where I'm willing to take a back seat from going on dead last, because I don't want to deal with, people's egos, which artists are, to their own right, they're owed that, right? Especially you feel like you've been putting in the work. But for me, I'm like, I'll take a step down and I'll co-headline, which means second to last, and I'll let this individual go on just so we can get the ball rolling. And he was like, nephew, I'm just proud of you because that's how I move. And that's how you gotta move sometimes, like you a businessman, and you're not just an artist. It's bigger than that, you know what I mean? He's like, I've done it a million times over in my career. So that's a good thing. And took his advice, and you see we rolling, you know what I mean? And I think another one that he gave me was when it came to just labels. I think once he went independent, for the first time he told me, nephew, you will never probably sign with a major again. Not saying that you wouldn't or you wouldn't entertain it. But when he broke down the business and how it pays out and owning your masters and all of that just made so much sense to me because we putting in the work, we putting in the time, the effort. And then once he said that, he's like, you already made the relationships, you know everybody. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing for you to call this DJ or that radio station that. Like, you've been in the game 25 plus years. If you ain't got no relationships, I don't know what you've been doing. That's all the label gonna do is put you with their relationships. The same people that you to connect. You just cutting out the middleman. I'm like, cool. So I took that approach to go indie, and I'm loving it. And you see so many artists fighting for their freedom nowadays, wanting to get off labels. Labels telling them when they need to drop. Labels saying I need this by this date. Makes the artist just go in scramble mode, trying to find records and get every room rented out in studios and have every writer writing, and you run at this room, that room, this room. Like, it's a lot. I like to move at my own pace. I feel like I perfected timing as far as like when it's time to strike, when it's time to drop. And, that's what a boss do. You know what I mean? Like, you've been putting in this work your whole life. You ain't trying to be on. You want to be the owner.
With the business aspect of it, that's something that you said just stuck out to me, handling that. I think that's such a key to getting to the point where you're at now, where you have handled your business appropriately to where you now can do that. You don't need the backing from a major. You have the relationships. What would you say to either a newer artist or an artist on the rise about just some advice on how they need to handle the business side of music, because that can get swept under the rug when they're so focused on the creative?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a two-part. It's two parts of the game, like you just said. It's the rapping, the entertainment, but then there's also that business part. And that's how you see so many artists be so big, superstars, and they just getting ripped off, or they look, a couple years down the line and like, damn, like I done did so many sold out tours and did this, but you never was paying attention. You was being fed and telling you, yo, you can get this, go get that, yeah, go buy that car, go buy that plane, and because the money coming in, but you ain't really paying attention to the books. Nobody's breaking it down to you. You look up and you like, damn, now everybody around you got more money than you, and you the face. You know what I mean? It's crazy, but it really happens. And there's movies that's like that. We've seen it happen with Ray Charles and the Ray movie. We've seen it happen with Why Do Fools Fall in Love with Frankie Lyman. We've seen it happen with Elvis. You know what I mean? And you just never want to be that. Those things really do happen, and they do exist. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. Things do happen, but you want to make sure you're there to correct them early on, and you got to make sure you get a good, strong team, and you got people really breaking down everything, expenses, costs, catering, this, that, and then, so you can see so you can see exactly where it's going, and that's very important. You got to have the business side of the game. Without that, you're gonna get flipped over each and every time, and you can leave one situation, they're gonna flip you over too, because they know you. You know what I mean? You ain't really, you ain't going to meetings, it ain't interested. Like I knew I had that at some point. I'm like, nah, I gotta get this. Like I can't be one of them guys that looks up and everything I worked hard for is just nothing. I have nothing to show for it. Like I can't do that.
I feel like it's all too common, and it's definitely something that I feel like is a challenge when you're looking at the business, even just outside of music. You have ventures in men's hair care. You have Prime. You're touching different areas of business. How do you decide which ventures you want to put your hand in next or pursue next? What is that process, that entrepreneurial drive for you?
It can come from me just being inspired, or me seeing something, or me wanting to try something new or different. I love to do things that hit home to me, things that I feel that I would naturally do. It can't just be about the money. You know what I mean? The money gonna come, especially when it's something that's authentic to you. Like, food is my thing, so I'm gonna drive that. You ain't gotta ask me to post I do it on my own. You know what I mean? Like, straight up. So even with the do-rags with Red by Kiss, I always had hair, always grew up using do-rags and brushes and my own gel grease, and I'm like, nah, why can't I have my own? You know what I mean? I like that. Like, so for me, anytime it's business related outside of music or just entertainment, anything you see me do is because there's a special attachment I have to that thing. I can't just bounce these line of cameras. Like, I'm not into photography. Therefore, that wouldn't interest me. That might be good for the next person, and hey, it might make 800 million. My bad, I slipped up, but I know I don't want to be posting cameras on my Instagram. Yeah. Like, it doesn't match my brand. Like, I don't really care. Really, like, it doesn't drive me.
Passion there behind it.
Yeah, I gotta be passionate. It's gotta drive me. It's gotta move me for me to want to jump behind something.